What's up, everybody? So I got something exciting in the mail. The starter set and the pre-order box for Corvus Belli's new war game, which is Warcrow. So we're going to take a look at this box. I have not opened it yet, and we're going to see what's inside. So this is just going to be like a first reactions type video. If it's a little long, feel free to skip around and see, what you want to look at. But let's take a look. All right, so here we go. This is it. This is what I have been anticipating for many months, since Gen Con 22, basically. So I think what we're going to do first is we're going to just take a look at the rule book. Then we'll take a look at the Winds from the North box itself and the exclusive that you get for ordering. So if you're wondering what you get in the pre-order bundle, you get the Winds from the North narrative campaign box. It's a 2-player introductory battle pack. You get a set of the Northern Tribes, 7 miniatures from the Northern Tribes, which is going to be your orcs and your Varanks. And then you have the hegemony, or the illustrious hegemony, of Embersig, which is going to be kind of a coalition of humans, dwarves, and elves. For now, we know that there are some Varank bodyguards out there, so I'm very excited about those minis. But you get 7 of each faction, and then you also get some terrain and dice. And so, like I said, we'll pop this open in a second, along with the exclusive. So let's take a look at the lore book. So one of the things that got me into wargaming and really attracted me to Warcrow was the lore itself of the game. I just really like how it goes back to kind of that very basic World of Warcraft generic fantasy style, but then puts a nice twist on it. I was kind of getting run down by a lot of war games that had just these really crazy, cool, but really out there ideas and concepts where everything was just so epic and they wanted to make everything just so crazy that it got to the point where I was trying to introduce some of my friends to the game and talking with people on Discord, and like you run into a problem where people don't know even what the factions are because they're not based off of normal fantasy races. And so where you play a game like Warcrow, somebody can look at this orc warrior and be like, oh, that's an orc. I know that's an orc. I like orcs. I'm going to play them. So the lore for the book, the lore for the world is really, really cool, what we know so far. Like I said, this is brand new, so I'm opening this fresh. It's amazing. You got to take a look at this. So it looks like we get our table of contents here. There's a whole section here on the hegemony, a whole section on troops of the hegemony, Northern Tribes, troops of the Northern Tribes. It looks like we even get to go into the other factions now. So we have the Varanks of Northern Tribes, the CNN, which are going to be more of your wood elves, a nature-based faction, troops of the CNN, Scions of Yaldabaoth, which are going to be a group of kind of outcasts who use a bunch of magic and embrace the tinge, which is a negative effect of using magic. And they also embrace the fog, which is one of the big aspects, kind of a Lovecraftian aspect of this world. And the Scions also, there's going to be body horror in there as well. That does not mean that they're the bad guys, though. There's really no bad guys in Warcrow, in the sense that everybody's a bad guy and everybody's a good guy. We also have a kind of a fun sub-faction that a lot of people have come to love, which is the Redcaps, the Redcaps. There's more about them, and there's actual minis for them, along with all the Scions in Warcrow Adventures, as they are the main antagonists of the game. We get Feudum, which is going to be my third most interested faction to play, Scions being my fourth. But Feudum are going to be your basic medieval knights. Mount Haven are your classic dwarves. And it looks like we get a little snippet on the Merchant Alliance, which is kind of I think it's the 7th faction that we've learned about, but we don't really know a lot about so much. We don't even know if it's going to be a playable faction, but there is lore here. And then, of course, a map. I love cartography for my D&D games. I draw maps. I've been drawing maps, I think, since I was like 4 or 5 years old. It's one of my favorite things about fantasy are the maps. And then, of course, we have the rule book. The rule book was teased about a month or so ago and we got to see all these rules. And then we have a painting guide. And so I'm just going to flip through this because, like I said, I don't know what's in here. Looks like we have an introduction into the world. I love the art. Can I just say I love the art here? This is the Hegemony's page. This is beautiful. All right, we have our Winds from the North artwork here. We have our mage, our elven mage, fighting an orc warrior, and Ahlwardt and Dragor in the back, fighting each other, who are kind of our named heroes. Some really cool stuff. Really cool artwork here. And I apologize in advance for the lighting. Still working that out. I love building terrain, so taking a look at this lore book is going to be awesome. I just noticed something here. This is the Black Legion, which are kind of the main faction we have right now, which are the soldiers in black that we get in the starter box. But it looks like they have a whole layout here of the regiments and what an army would look like. So this is going to be fun to take a look at and see all the different possible factions we could end up getting. Looks like we have things like gunnery, infantry, cav, keepers of wisdom, Frostfire Herald is that elven mage, Gale Falchion is an unmodeled character, if that makes sense. So this character, or this model we know is in the game because the Frostfire Herald has abilities that work with them. War rigs, I'm excited. Artillery, yes. I love guns in fantasy if it's done right. I think Corvus Belli has done a great job. But let me just keep on moving here. So we have our hegemony. These are going to be from the Beyond Warcrow or Beyond Winds from the North. These are the 3 characters that you can build off of. They also come with 3 Varank, which I'm sure we're going to see later. This is Lady Tilia, and then 2 dwarves that are actually not members of Mount Haven. They are members of the hegemony. And so here we can see some of our members of the hegemony fighting some of the good old boys from the feudum. All right, I just love this idea of people with guns going up against fully heavily armored knights. But let's keep moving here. It looks like we have a breakdown of regions. And then I'm trying to find what's important here. Oh, war rigs. Nice rifle or pistol there. Northern tribes. A lot of beautiful art here. Here are some of the Northern tribe characters. These are all characters we're going to get within the first few months. All the greenskins, or the orcs, are characters we're getting in the starter box. This is Nord, and this is one of the skin changers. We get them in the Beyond box, the Beyond Winds of the North. Some orcs fighting dwarves, all that cool stuff. Here we go, Ahlwardt, who is our wonderful exclusive mini. And here we have, it looks like some of the Northern tribes fighting some members of the CNN. And some cool models here, some winged CNN with hummingbirds or foxes or something with nature. We get gods of the Northern tribes. Tattoos, this is a beautiful, these are the characters you get in that Beyond Winds of the North. We get the totems, the Varank. I love the orcs because they're very much World of Warcrafty to me, even though I've not really played it so much. I just love the vibe of them. But then the Varank are what brings me in because I love the color scheme and I just love the look of them and their lore as far as we know with the tattoos and the totems and all that stuff. So there's a lot of really cool stuff. History of the Alliance, and actually if you listen to From the Fog, which is a wonderful podcast about Warcrow, we learned from Hupu that the leaders of the Northern tribes are Ahlwardt, who is going to be our leader here, our orc leader you get in the box. He's kind of the orc leader, but the leader of the Varank is going to be Ahlwardt. So take a listen to that podcast. It's a really great podcast. It's a great way to support our local Warcrow community, and check out our Discord, which I will have in the link below. Here's an awesome tattoo of an otter. I'm really looking for an excuse in this book to find a cool tattoo for me to get. So here's some cool, here's Griot Guard, where Winds of the North take place. Like I said, this is all brand new to me too, so I'm, my ADHD is just kicking through this. I got to sit down and just read through all this lore. Some lore on the Varink. Some cool art. This is probably going to be our Beyond box artwork. I kind of like the hair. It kind of looks like dark fantasy, like 1980s type metal fantasy, heavy metal fantasy. Then we have the CNN. We don't, and now going into the rest of this book, we don't know as much as we do about this faction or these other factions with like miniatures and stuff. So it looks like we got a better look at some of the minis here. Looks like some of the minis. Some of these minis are from Warcrow Adventures. Some of them are from the war game. Here we have a CNN fighting one of the feudum, one of the priestesses, it looks like. Some cool miniature, some art, not miniatures, art, plants, different forests of the CNN. Just looking at this is making me want this faction. I love these guys. I think these are Echoes. I can't remember exactly what the name of them are. They're from Warcrow Adventures, but they're really cool looking, like animated armor type thing. Winds of War. Beautiful artwork. I'm really digging this person with this elf with the wings. It's always fun. The Scions. Scions are always cool. They embrace the tinge. This is a Mornmaub, just an amalgamation of body parts. One of my favorite things in wargaming is armies with monsters. When I did play the Middle-earth strategy battle game for like 10 years, I more so collected than played it, but I of course collected Mordor and anything that had the trolls, and I ended up with like 6 or 7 trolls before I sold off all of that stuff. So here we have more Scion characters, more artwork. We've seen a lot of the Scions because they, like I said, they're the adversaries of Warcrow Adventures. Here's a Mornmaub fighting some feudum characters, individuals or minis. Troops of the Scions, Samara. Oh, I don't know too much about Samara, but I think Samara is one of the leaders to look back. Here's the famous Scion puppy that has an actual name, but it slips my mind right now. But they're all about flesh weaving and stuff. And then, of course, everybody's favorites, the red caps, goofy little chaos guys. And I believe they're actually an expansion from the Adventures game, Warcrow Adventures. So if you really just wanted to play these guys, I believe they are their own expansion, but I'd have to double check because they have a cool big troll thing. So here they are, kind of family picture of the Scions. Feudum. Like I said, I love these guys. I love this guy. This guy became a meme within like the first 5 minutes of this video coming out with him in it, or a picture of him being in it. But here's the feudum. They're very much like Bretonia, France, medieval France. I kind of even get a little bit of like the For Honor knights. We have a throwdown between this plated knight and a bucklerman captain or bucklerman leader. Feudum fighting CNN. Timelines. Oh geez, you really have to check out this lore book. It's worth it just for all the lore in it. We get the different duchies and locations of the kingdom, of the feudum. One of the priestesses. I was really prepping when Old World was getting hyped. I was really prepping into getting into Old World and buying all of the Bretonians. So I read up on a lot of their lore. So I'm happy this is somewhat similar because I ended up not going with Old World, partly because I was excited for this game. Here we have a griffin, which is dope. We saw like the claws, like the lower claws and like the wing of it, and speculation ran wild in the Discord. So if you feel like having some fun speculating, it's a great community to check out. Here it is. This is the first time I'm seeing this in full view. This is amazing. I really like this artwork. Fighting a Mornmaub. It's pretty cool. And it looks like it's in the Hegemony's city. So I wonder how the feudum and the Scions ended up in the Hegemony's, in one of the Hegemony's settlements. Here we have the dwarves, Mount Haven. They're fighting some red caps down here. It's fighting some sort of weird tentacle creature that I hope we get to see, because like I said, I love monsters. Monsters and giant artillery pieces. That's cool. So we're getting all the different types of ore. Also from the fog, we found out that their origami kind of originates from them being able to refine this magical catalyst metals into very thin pieces. So they're able to, basically they turn it into aluminum foil and then they can fold it and cast metal. So I have to read a little bit more, but we know they have like suits, like golems and essentially mechs, I would assume. So different dwarven settlements, troops of Mount Haven. There's a lot in here, so I apologize that I'm kind of moving a little fast. Once again, if you're interested in looking into this more, just check it out. You know, check it out. Everybody has a price. What's yours? The Merchant Alliance is a conglomeration we know of different factions. They're all the way down here. So this is kind of the world map. They're all the way down here. This red stuff, that's the fog, so we can see that it's creeping in. So yeah, even here, the Merchant Alliance only gets like a page. And I'm positive they'll get new stuff. So then we have the rule book. I'm not going to go through the rule book too much because we already saw that. There's a PDF of it. And then a painting guide. So it kind of shows you how to paint. I would assume very specifically just the two factions that you get in the box. Or the two factions we're going to start with. Which it does. So we get Nord and we get a Pioneer, so one of the Dwarven. Both these characters are going to be, like I said, in Beyond Winds from the North. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. So that is the lore book, which is pretty awesome. Okay. All right. So we're going to start off with, I'm just going to go through the tray. So looks like we have the, oh, why can't I remember their name? Frostfire Herald. It's like I spend months obsessing about this game, thinking about this game, and then I can't remember the names of the characters. It's Frostfire Herald. Now all of these models, I believe they have already made a statement that said all of the models for Warcrow are going to be in Siocast. I may do a video more as I research more about Siocast, but Infinity models, from my understanding, have some resin Siocast, but also are mainly metal. The only metal minis I'm aware of for Warcrow Adventures was a special expansion box you could get through the Kickstarter of the main PCs, the main players' characters. But for Warcrow Adventures, I think everybody's going to be Siocast. Anyway, here is our Frostfire Herald. At least the Frostfire Herald without the arms. Here's our quality control thing. So it looks like they are on some sprues. So here's our staff. And then here we have the arm. And one thing you might not have noticed about the Frostfire Herald's sculpt is that the arm is the arm with the spellbook. He's actually casting a spell, like he's like reading the spellbook. He's not holding it, so it's pretty cool. It's using some fancy schmancy magic to hold up his spellbook. So that is the Frostfire Herald. Okay, next is Dragor, who is our leader. It looks like he's sealed. Actually kind of interesting that some of these guys are sealed and some of them are in baggies. We'll open this up right now so that we can look. Come on, Dragor. Get out. So, oh, two parts. That's nice and easy. So Dragor's sculpt is more noble looking in the sense that like he's not in a big action pose. Looks like there are some stuff you got to clean off, some flash and stuff. But overall, you know, here's what he'll look like. This of course comes off. It's a pretty easy build. And that's Dragor. He's the commander of the Northern Tribe. Whoa. He does not the Northern Tribes. Hegemony. All right, so that is Dragor. What's also interesting, and this one doesn't have the quality control thing, but this might be because the set that I got is the, you know, the pre-order set so that I could do demos and consequently make videos as well. This next one is Ahlwardt, who is the leader of the Northern Tribes, at least the orc half leader of the Northern Tribes in this faction. or in this box set. So he comes in several pieces. Here's his big old, wow, that is a chunky sword. The sword is the size of, it's bigger than him. Here is his cloak. What else we got? His back. These are chunky boys. If you like chunky minis, the orcs are chunky. A cool skull for his, I think it's his helmet or his headpiece. Yeah, his headpiece. His other arm. And then, of course, the tusks. So that is Ahlwardt. One of the reasons I'm excited to paint up the orcs, like I'm normally not somebody that likes the orc factions like 40k and Age of Sigmar. It's like I'm not a big fan of the orcs there, but I like these guys. These guys are super chunky and cool looking. Here is what I think is the miniature that made me really love, one of the minis that made me really love the game when I did the demo of Warcrow in the 2023 Gen Con last year, which is the Doctor. So really like, she has this version, this Doctor, she has a little dagger, she has her little crow mask, her plague mask, and she's reaching into her goodie bag for her drugs or whatever. And you can even see, right, I think if my camera, you can see that there's like a potion. Let me use this toothpick that's just laying around. You can see that there's a potion. She's like reaching in a potion, and there's scissors. So there is quite a nice amount of detail here. One of the things I like is the models aren't too oversaturated with detail. Sometimes you get like a dwarf or like, you know, some character in a sci-fi setting or something that's just like riddled with bags and buckles and buttons and sensors. And for me, it was really hard to kind of get into that, because it's like, okay, I did this, I painted this one guy, and you look at the table of the other minis and it's like, oh, I need like 60 of these guys just to have like 2 units in like an 8-unit game. No, thank you. So here's another one of our orc hunters. The nice thing about Warcrow is it's not skirmish, but it's not an army-based game, so you're gonna need about, like, I think they said 20, roughly 20 models. And the starter set comes with 7 of each faction, so you're almost there. Winds up from beyond the winds of something. The expansion box will have 3 of each more, so you can you'll have, what is it, 10. So orc hunter, here's one of the orc hunters, dual wielding cool swords. I've never done a miniature review like this or an unboxing like this, so just bear with me. I'm new to it. If you have any tips, feel free to drop them down below. All right, so here's one of our orc hunters. And there's a mix of male and female characters, which I think is really, really cool for Warcrow. Here's another orc hunter. And I think the orc captain is the guy, or like the leader of the, oh, this guy's grumpy. Is the guy with an axe or something. I can't remember, but here's another orc. This one's kind of doing that superhero pose, the 3-point landing. Here's another sword. These guys have big, chunky swords. I mean, the swords are almost, these like 2-handed swords are the size of their bodies, if not bigger. And then the chest piece. So here's one of the orcs. And there's what you get in each set, in each like unit, because each faction in the starter comes with a unit. You get about 3 goons or mooks or whatever you want to call them, and then you get 1 leader for it, like 1 captain or whatever. This is another orc. This is one of the female ones, I think. Yeah, it's a female one. Thought her head was missing, but no, she's right here. She's grumpy. The orcs are a little grumpy. Maybe they didn't have breakfast. Or maybe they did have breakfast and that's what made them grumpy. I don't know. So there's our swords. See, these shorter swords aren't as big, but they're still pretty large. Trying to remember which bags I've opened and which bags I haven't. But if you notice, see, this bag also was sealed and doesn't have a quality control on it. Let me just fix my camera here. Okay, we have another. This is the character I think is the orc captain or their equivalent of a captain. Like I said, the lore is all new, so quality control. Here's the little head. It's kind of got like a saber-tooth Wolverine vibe going. Tusks and stuff, braids, earring you can see. Here's the body. Here's the back. Some more tusks kind of looping around. Definitely needs some cleaning here. See that? So I'd say if you have an X-Acto knife, you can use that. Another thing that's really awesome to use when cleaning these bits are like these saws. I don't know what they're called, but they're like these really fine edge saws. Just be careful because they are very sharp. And then an axe. But you can use these saws to like kind of cut these off. Another thing you can use, which I don't have offhand, are just clippers. So if you have clippers, you can use that too, and then sand them down and stuff. I don't know how Siocast does with sanding though. Okay, now we move into our hegemony. Back to the illustrious hegemony of Umbersig. So we have another hetman. So once again, the Corvus Belli is really putting me through it, thinking that these characters aren't coming with heads, because like I'm looking around here and I'm like, where the flip is the head, and it's on the arm. This alone would be a Scion's character, but if you glue it, it's a hegemony character. So this is one of the normal hetmen. Shield and scabbard. This is the scabbard. Pretty cool. I'm excited for a unit that is just all guns. I think that's going to be cool. Because from my understanding, the hegemony kind of locks down points. They're good at locking down objectives. So did I open it this time? Yes. Here we go. Here's the leader or the captain, the commander of the hegemony, of the bucklermen, of one unit of bucklermen. So he's got the cool shield, the sword, in a very commanding way. Oh no, not a commanding way. I guess he's pointing down. I thought this guy was like, huzzah! But I think he's actually just pointing down, which is cool too. His scabbard, and one of the cool things, you get to see some historical influence there, like similar to the winged hussars. They have these cool wing back pieces that kind of denote them as, here I think it goes like this, denote them as commanders. So, and if you didn't want it, you could probably sculpt over it if you didn't want the wings. I like the wing. You probably also want something to show who the commanders, the leaders are of each unit. The game is very big on orienting your forces around the leader, so it would probably be good to your teammate to let them know, like, oh, this is my leader, and that's an easy way of them showing you when they're planning. Okay, so what else we got? Looks like we got 2 more bucklermen. One of these is the ones that people got for doing demos at Adepticon, that I said to myself, I said, I don't need a demo of Warcrow, I've already played it. And I really missed out. But here's another bucklerman. She has her shield, sword, no scabbard. There it is. So, cool. Let me just put her away here. I think we have one more wonderful, fierce bucklerman. Here's the other one. There's actually some cool art in the hegemony lore video that Corvus Belli has, where they have like different colored hair. Like, in the sense, I'm assuming that they dye it, so like a neon green and stuff. So I may experiment with that a little bit. Not too crazy, but you know, 1 or 2 characters might have different colored hair. And then the last one is the Evoker. Now the Evoker is a really interesting model for me because she's really cool. She's a cool caster for the orcs. This is the orcs equivalent of the Frostfire Herald. But I really wish, like, of all the sculpts that Corvus Belli chose, this is not my most favorite. I don't hate it. I like it. But there's a really epic pose of her, like lifting her staff above her head. It may be in the lore book too, but it's online. And I was just like, that's such a cool sculpt. So I'm hoping we get that sculpt at some point. Hoopu did say that nothing in Warcrow, when they don't use it, is thrown out. It's like put it in a refrigerator. So they may use it later. But it looks like she kind of goes like this. I gotta play around with it a little just to see. Well, here's just a nice backpack all on its own. But one of the nice things, as my camera wobbles around, like it's detailed and it's nice, but it's also not crazy. It looks like this looks like an old-fashioned, an ancient fertility symbol. I'm hoping this is a teapot. That would be a great nod to an Easter egg to our Discord chat all about tea, because in Warcrow we like to drink tea. It's a cool backpack though. And then of course her casting arm. She used to have an ability to summon a rock troll. That ability is no longer on her card. However, rock trolls I think are still a thing in the game, so fingers crossed for a rock troll. So that's all the characters from the core box. Like I said, you get the dice, a nice set of dice. I was thinking about how cool it would be to get some custom dice, but then I realized like the dice need to be specific colors, so you can't really go too crazy. I am concerned because I do have a few friends who have some varying levels of color blindness, and like even just looking, you know, I myself am not colorblind, but even just looking, like this yellow and this orange are very close. This is the one concern just about accessibility I had was, will people be able to, you know, those that have a little bit more trouble seeing different colors, how will they be able to see these? But like, I'm not colorblind, so I don't necessarily know what ways you might get around that. But these are the dice, D8s, they're all D8s. Bases, once again, I'm not gonna go over the unit cards because those are open access on the press kit. If you want access to it, just check out the Discord and you'll get it. And then here we have Ahlwardt, the Ice Bear, who, so the variant they get tattoos that allow them to get different abilities, spirit totems, and Ahlwardt can transform into a polar bear or like a werewolf. So we have looks like a Spanish side and an English side, so that's nice. Ahlwardt can transform into a polar bear, and even when he's transformed, you know, sometimes in like mythology and stuff, werewolves go a little crazy, or lycanthropes go a little crazy. Ahlwardt is actually able to maintain control of his abilities. So this is a big guy. Wow. All right, so let's take a look. So here's his body. Oh my gosh, he's big. I'm trying to see if I have a ruler. There we go. I apologize for those of you that use the metric system, but here's 1 inch. Here, let me flip this a little. He's big. I mean, he's a bigger. Okay, I'll get this figured out eventually. Here we go. I mean, this is just him without it, and he's almost 2 inches tall. Here's another. These guys are beefy. Like, this is a beefy boy. Look at this. So this is a thick model here. Here's his double. I thought it was a spear. I'm happy it's not a spear, just because he's like this berserker guy. I didn't want him to have a spear, but he has this awesome two-handed sword. Pretty dope. Base, of course, it looks like they even give you a little spot for magnets. That's what I'm going to use it for. I don't know what else you would use it for. And then there's a baggie of other stuff. Let me get this ruler out of the way. What I want to see is this guy's face. Oh my gosh, look at these muscles. This guy's massive. I just can't get over. Oh my gosh. I would not want to be a bucklerman and just have this guy just come at you. There's a scene in Pirates of the Caribbean 3 where they're fighting Davy Jones's men are attacking somebody, and the eel, there's like an eel guy, and they like, their swords are crossed, they're like obviously in a sword fighting stalemate, and the head of the eel just comes and just bites the guy's head off. That's what I picture Ahlwardt doing. And we have some more bits. I I don't know what these are. Looks like a war horn, which I'm assuming, oh yeah, it looks like that goes on the back here. That's what that is. And then this is, I'm assuming, oh, it looks braided, so I'm assuming it's part of his headpiece. And then of course here is, oh, that's just a cool, there's his head. Oh, is this his jaw? I think this is his jaw or something. His jaw is somewhere. I hope. I'll take a look. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Oh yeah, this has got to be his, yeah. Cool. All right, so that's all the minis. So let's wrap it up. I just realized I didn't show you guys the wise mane. And as I was sitting down, checking over the videos and the minis, I realized I didn't take a look at the wise mane. So wise mane is, so the orcs believe in reincarnation, and so death is a friend to them, and they try to die. And so the wise mane is basically an old orc, somebody who survived well long into their later years. So here's the wise mane. These are, and I think this is all like bone plating, which is kind of cool. This is just a solid chunk of Cyocasts. Here's the backpack, back, torso, and then here's just this giant club mace thing. So once again, orcs have really big things. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of first look at Warcrow. I'm going to be doing a lot more Warcrow stuff because this is the war game that I've been very, very excited for. I checked out the rule book or the lore book a little bit more, and it's really, really interesting. It's going to take me a while to read. It's like about 400 pages, with most of that being lore. I love lore, so I'm just going to deep dive into that probably before I hold off painting. But I do need to get guys painted because I am responsible for doing demos in my local area. So if you are interested, pick up the 2-player starter set or the introductory battle pack. It comes with the first narrative campaign. It's only about 3 little story missions. And if you do the pre-order bundle, you'll get the lore book as well. You can buy those 2 things separately, and you can also get Ahlwardt the Ice Bear, who is going to be a character for the Northern Tribes. But if you're interested in seeing me build some different terrain for the game, kind of review some of the different products, maybe even talk to some of the people from Corvus Belli, or anything and everything under the window of Warcrow, feel free to like and subscribe. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.